This is Jen Ledger and I play with the band Skillet. I started playing drums for Skillet in January 2008 and they found me because I came to America to come and do a Bible school. It was called School of Worship, and that's in Kenosha, Wisconsin, where the band live. So when Laurie, their previous drummer, was leaving, I got the opportunity to audition, and a long story short, I got in the band, and now I'm still here playing drums for Skillet.
Haven't kicked you out yet. Being a female drummer in a male-dominated instrument, what do you think is the most interesting thing of that? Do you think you use it to an advantage? Do you think it's a disadvantage? How do you?
I guess you could look at it either way. When I first started, I found it incredibly discouraging, and it actually made me quit several times because I just felt like I don't belong, and I hated the pressure. I hated walking up to play and the extra attention because people assume that you're going to be lame. That definitely, it's hard on your confidence levels. However, now that I'm in Skillet and stuff, I've learned that if you just play with your passion and don't try and be like everyone else anyway, people usually respect you for that. And so when I get up there and rock, it usually surprises people, and I'm kind of like the underdog, like, this is gonna suck. And then when I just play with all my heart, it usually works to my advantage now. But I didn't realize that a long time ago, and it took me a few years to just learn to be myself.
Since I've seen you flail, have you ever had any injury from the next day? Have you been extremely sore from
I've
bouncing
had
around?
countless injuries, yeah. I mean, it's kind of embarrassing. I've got several. I always have cuts all over my hands because sometimes when you're going a little bit crazy, you don't really realize what you're hitting and you catch the wrong thing. And then definitely given myself a nosebleed on stage while I'm playing. Not the most graceful of moments, but I made it work. I got a few wads of tissue and just stuck it up and carried on finishing the show. And yeah, several bumped heads. But, I can switch my bangs either side and just, cover up if I need to. But it's sort of part of being a rock drummer.
Yeah. Who are your drumming influences? Who do you think you mimic, or who did you follow growing up?
The biggest influence for me is Dave Grohl, for sure. And that actually happened more recently when I was trying out for Skillet. They were basically like, we need a rock drummer and we need you to hit hard. And, I'd never ever had the opportunity to do such a thing. I'd only ever played at, small churches where they tell you to play as quietly as possible. So I auditioned with the song Smells Like Teen Spirit. And that kind of changed the way I play ever since then, because now it's all about hit as hard as you can and with all your passion, just like he does. And that's probably the one thing I've really learned from a drummer. I was nauseous for days. My first tour was Winter Jam, which was like an arena tour. So going from playing, from 200 people, and that used to make me really flipping nervous anyway. And then to step up from that to an arena tour, it was pretty bad. Even in the sound check, I was so nervous, my hands were shaking and I couldn't even stay with the click. And then, not to sound cheesy, but before the first show, the band, all of us got together and we just prayed, and I was like, Lord, I know you've placed me here, although I just feel so frightened and I couldn't even play in sound check. From the first show on, I don't know, it was really peaceful and it went really well. It was like when I sat down, I was fine, but before then, the whole day, nauseous and the shakes. And ever since then, though, it's kind of gone away, and you just got to realize when you're chosen to do something and when he's with you, you can be peaceful about it and just be confident that he's placed you here and not think about your weaknesses,
What's your favorite song to play live?
Let me think. For a really long time, it's been Monster, because it's so simple and you can just go so crazy with it and not really think about what you're playing at all, and I really have loved that. But then recently, since we've got the new toys on stage, I think it's become rebirthing. You'll see why. It's just a lot of fun.
What's it like doing vocals and drumming at the same time? Is it hard? How do you balance the two?
It was difficult. I didn't know I was going to be doing that, so it was when we were recording for the last album, Awake, and, you know, it kind of got, the idea of me singing got thrown out there, and sure enough, I ended up singing on the new album, and, you know, John, the lead singer, was like, hey, you're going to have to learn to do this live, you know, and I was like, what? And I just didn't click, and when it did, as soon as I realized that was happening, I went home and, like, got my drum pads out, and I was figuring, like, which syllable went with which hand. It wasn't easy, it wasn't pretty either, and then finally figured it out. But I definitely, it's not something that is natural. You have to learn it, that's for sure. And if I do sing on the next record too, I'm going to have to learn that too. It's quite difficult.
Why Evans, and what was your first Evans? What brought you to Evans as opposed to another brand?
Not to sound cheesy, but they're really supportive people and easy to work with, and that's a huge deal for me. Especially as I was saying earlier, like, you can feel quite unsupported being a girl and stuff. And then the product is just amazing and durable, and I think I used it because I ran out of a head and someone lent me some, and I was like, what are these, you know? And then ever since then, they lasted so much longer than anything else I've used, and they're so much easier to tune, and they're really durable, and I was like, just kind of switched from then on and haven't gone back, and then I was lucky enough to get an endorsement, so feel very proud of that.
Who would you like to tour with that you haven't yet?
Ooh, let me think.
So you guys have a couple.
I never got to tour with Breaking Benjamin, and I love them, and their drummer's amazing, and the band did tour with Breaking Benjamin before I joined, and I was really bummed that I missed out on that. I would love to drum with that guy and have him maybe give me some lessons sometime.
What do you do when you're not on tour? What do you do in downtime?
Downtime. I'm a terrible tennis player, but I really enjoy it, and then it sounds cheesy, but I really like artsy, crafty stuff, and like, so sometimes when I'm home I'll do a painting or two and some cheesy stuff like that, but I like it.
What's next for Skillet and you?
Where do we go from here? Somewhere awesome, I hope. Well, we're going to be recording next year. A new album will be out soon. I'm incredibly excited to be a part of it. It just seems like Skillet's getting a big fan base and people are really enjoying what we're doing, and it just feels incredibly exciting that people like what you like so much. So and the new stuff is really exciting, and it's going a different place, and I feel just really excited to see what happens and how people respond to it, but we'll see where that goes.
The remixes, where did those come from, and did you go back in studio to record them, or were they just
No, that's Corey and her talent on programming and like computers, and it's all you know, you take the tracks and the audio files from the album, and then Corey can create like any amazing sound on the keyboard. She's just really good at that stuff, so she came up with all these new parts and used sections of the song and just kind of just took a few things from that, but then created something completely new. And we didn't have to go in. I think we went in the studio for one song to record like some live drums, but other than that, she was just really talented and took that somewhere new completely.
What advice do you have for any up and coming drummers, especially females?
My advice would be, don't try and play like other people because you feel like you have to. Like, be yourself and play the way you enjoy playing, you know. Obviously, you know, take advice from people that are better than you. I'm not saying, you know, be prideful or like arrogant, but I am saying that, you know, you don't have to look like everyone else. You don't have to play all the flashy stuff like everyone else. You can just play with all your passion and play the way you play in your style, and people will really respect you for it. And don't lose confidence. Especially girls, like, don't lose confidence because people expect you to be lame. But just use that to your advantage, because it's cool when you rock out and people think you're going to be lame.